You know that sinking feeling in your stomach when a totally unexpected bill shows up? Yeah, we've all been there. But what if I told you there's a pretty simple way to make sure that feeling becomes a thing of the past? Let's talk about building your financial shield.
Okay, picture this. You're driving to work, everything's fine, and then, boom, your transmission just went out. The repair bill?
$1,100. And you don't have an extra $1,100 just lying around. So you do what most of us have to do. You slap it on a credit card at like 24% interest. Or you pull your investments out to cover it. And just like that, everything you've spent the last 3 months trying to build, it's gone in an instant.
And look, that's not some crazy worst-case scenario. That's just a regular Tuesday for 4 out of 10 Americans right now. So today, we're going to talk about how to make sure it's never a Tuesday like that for you. So here's what we're going to get into. First, we'll talk about why you might be a little closer to financial chaos than you think. Then, I'm going to give you a step-by-step 30-day plan to build your own financial shelter. We'll also cover how to protect that fund and, of course, what comes next. Hey, neighbor, welcome back. Let's talk money. I want to tell you a story about Chris. Chris is 31. He works hard, pays his bills on time. After seeing a video about investing, he finally did it. He opened an account and put in his first $300. And you know what? He felt incredible. Like this was the best financial decision he'd ever made. Well, 6 weeks later, his apartment flooded. It wasn't even his fault. A pipe burst in the unit upstairs. His renter's insurance, it had a $1,000 deductible. Chris did not have $1,000. So he did the only math he could. He pulled the $300 from his new investment account, and he put the other $700 on his credit card. And just like that, 3 months of forward momentum completely wiped out in a single afternoon. He told me later, and this really stuck with me, he said, "I wasn't even upset about the flood. I was upset that I had nothing to fall back on." And that is the real problem here. It's not the flood or the transmission or the surprise medical bill. The real problem is having absolutely nothing standing between you and total financial chaos. So here's a number that I really need you to just sit with for a second. 4 in 10 Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency expense with their savings. Right now, that's not 4 in 10 people who are bad with money, it's 4 in 10 Americans, period.
And 1 in 3 adults say that if an emergency like that hit them tomorrow, they would have to borrow money to cover it. We're talking credit cards, loans from family, maybe even payday lenders, all because of one bad week. That is the trap, and today we're building your way out of it.
So before we get into the how, let's just make sure we are crystal clear on the what. Okay, an emergency fund is not a savings account for stuff you want to buy. It is not your vacation fund. It's not I'll treat myself money, and it is definitely not a loan to yourself. Think of it like a firewall. It's the buffer between you and financial disaster. I like to think of it like a storm shelter in your backyard. When a tornado comes through, and let's be real, in life, they always come through eventually. You need somewhere safe to go, somewhere that isn't your investment account or your rent money or your credit card. Without that shelter, every financial storm just rips right through everything you've built. But with it, you just ride out the storm, and then you move on. Your investments stay untouched, your credit score stays intact, your momentum, it just keeps going. That shelter, that is your $1,000 emergency fund, and we are going to build it in 30 days. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Hey, but all the financial experts say I need 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. Why are we only doing 1,000? I'll tell you why. Because done beats perfect every single time. Look, 3 to 6 months of expenses for most people is what? $10,000 to $20,000. That number is so huge it feels impossible before you even pick up the shovel. So, people just don't start. But $1,000? That's different. $1,000 is a real number. You can actually see the finish line from here. And here's the most important part. $1,000 covers the vast majority of real emergencies that actually happen to real people. A car repair? Usually under $1,000. An ER copay? Usually under $1,000. Your $1,000 fund isn't the finish line. It's the foundation. It's that first layer of protection that makes everything else possible. So listen, nothing else matters until this is in place. This comes first. All right, 30 days, $1,000. Let's get into the actual plan. Step 1. You are going to open a separate savings account today. Not your regular checking account, not the account your direct deposit goes into, a completely separate savings account that lives somewhere your debit card can't just accidentally touch it. I want you to check out places like Ally, SoFi, or Marcus by Goldman Sachs. They're all free, they're all online, and right now they're all paying around 4% interest. That means your emergency fund is actually going to grow while it's just sitting there waiting. Open that account tonight, not this weekend, tonight, because having the account open is what makes everything else feel real. Okay, step 2. Find your $1,000. I want you to do 3 things this week. First, do an audit. Go through your checking account, check PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, any digital wallet you've got. You'd be surprised. Most people have more cash scattered around than they realize. Second, do a 30-day spending fast on non-essentials. Just 1 month, that's it. The average American spends over $300 a month just eating out. So 1 month of cooking at home gets you almost a third of the way there. Third, sell something this weekend. Old electronics, clothes you haven't worn in 2 years. One Saturday on Facebook Marketplace can easily get you $200 to $500. And then finally, step 3 is to automate the rest. Whatever gap is left, set up an automatic transfer. Even if it's just $25. Automation removes the decision. The money just moves before you can talk yourself out of it.
Now here's the part that trips everyone up. Seriously, building the $1,000? That's actually the easy part. The hard part is leaving it alone.
Let me tell you about Nina. Nina built her emergency fund in 5 weeks. She was so proud. 2 months later, her best friend got married. It was a destination wedding in Cancun. The flights and hotel were about $600. And Nina told herself, I'll just borrow from my emergency fund and, pay it back next month. You already know how this story ends, don't you? That $600, it never came back. Life just kept happening. And 6 weeks later, Nina's car broke down and her emergency fund had $140 in it.
Nina's story just shows how easy it is to rationalize borrowing from our future selves. So let's make this really, really simple. The only test that matters is this. Was it unplanned, urgent, and essential? If the answer isn't yes to all 3, it's not an emergency. So real emergencies, a car repair that keeps you from getting to work, an urgent medical bill, a sudden job loss, you get it. Not emergencies, a new phone because yours is feeling a little slow, a vacation, holiday gifts, or a really good sale at your favorite store. This fund has one job. Let it do its job.
Okay, you did it. $1,000 is sitting in a separate account that you can't accidentally spend. So, now what?
First, seriously, celebrate the win. Then immediately go back to your long-term plan. Start contributing to that Roth IRA again. Slowly start building toward 1 full month of expenses. There's no rush here. Even $50 a month gets most people there within a year. Now, let's talk about the traps to avoid. Number 1, keeping it in your checking account. It's just too easy to spend. That little bit of friction of having to transfer it from a separate account, that's a feature, not a bud. 2, saving too slowly. Get this first $1,000 done fast. Urgency builds momentum. 3, investing before you have this safety net. Without it, you'll be forced to sell your investments at the absolute worst possible time. 4, using it for non-emergencies. Remember Nina, don't let a good sale become a bad decision. And 5, stopping at $1,000. This is the starting line, my friend, not the finish line. It's the foundation for everything else you want to build.
Okay, here's what I really, really want you to understand about why this little fund matters so much.
Think about every single person you've ever heard of who panic sold their investments. Almost every single one of them had one thing in common. They had no buffer, no shelter, nothing to fall back on that wasn't their investment account. The people who stay invested through every market dip, every scary headline, every rough month, they're not smarter than you. They're not luckier. They just had somewhere else to go when the storm came. Remember Chris from the beginning? He rebuilt his emergency fund before he touched his investment account again. Today, that account has been growing for 2 years straight, not because he got lucky, but because he built the shelter first. Your $1,000 emergency fund isn't just savings. It's what keeps your future intact when your present gets messy. And trust me, your present is gonna get messy. The only question is whether you're ready for it.
So having $1,000 in the bank, that's your first layer of protection. But there's a second layer that most people completely ignore, and without it, your emergency fund might not be enough when things get really serious. And yeah, we're covering that next time.
If you don't want to live one bad week away from financial chaos anymore, hit that subscribe button. Every week, your neighbor here breaks down exactly how regular people build real wealth. No jargon, no gurus, no gatekeeping. Just real talk from someone who's been right where you are. Until next time, neighbor, go get free.